Hi, I'm Mike Smith, and this is my Week 6 video tutorial for an introduction to interactive programming in Python. In this image we have a source image at the top here, which is 300 by 200. What we want to do is we want to take our first 32 by 32 pixels in this image and display it on a canvas. So our source center is going to be 16, 16, and our source size is 32, 32. Now down below here we have our canvas, which we're going to say is 500 by 350. Now that 32 by 32 block, we're going to put it in two places. One is in the top corner and one is in the center. The top corner block, we're going to display it at 32 by 32, and the center block, we're going to resize it to 100 by 100. So for the first one, we'll have our destination center at around 50 by 50, and our size is going to be the original size of 32 by 32. For a second one in the middle, we'll have our destination center as the center of the canvas, so that's half of 500 and 350, so our destination center is 250, 175. And as I said, our size is going to be 100 by 100. So our relevant commands to do this are simple GUI create frame 500 by 350, because that's what we said our canvas would be up here. And we'll draw our first image, which is centered at 16, 16 and 32, 32 as a source, as we have up here. Our destination is going to be at 50, 50 for center, and 32, 32 for the size. The second one is going to have the same source. The only thing that's changing is the destination. We're putting it in the center of the screen, and over here we're putting it at a size of 100 by 100. So hopefully you understand how that part of this works. Okay, this is the image we're going to use for this demo, and maybe you might recognize some of these fellas. Okay, here's our screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate through each of these images. So we'll display this first one, and a second one, and a third one, and then a fourth one. And what we're going to do is we're going to display them at different spots on the screen, like this. Only we're not going to use these animations. But I'll make a bonus little video of how you can actually easily do animations similar to this. And then we're also going to display them at different sizes as well. So does anybody recognize these guys yet? Okay, in our original image here, each of these pictures is 174 pixels by 194 pixels. Therefore the center along here is going to be the same for all of them, but the center this way, the center here for the first one is 174 divided by 2, which is 87. And then the center of this one will be that 87 plus 174, because that's how far apart they are, because each one is 174 pixels. So the third one is 87 plus 174 times 2, and then the fourth one is 87 plus 174 times 3. Okay, let's move over to CodeSkulptor here. Okay, over in CodeSkulptor here we just import simple GUI. We specify to load our image. We give it the size that we mentioned in the slides, 174 by 194. The center of which is just that size divided by 2. We're going to use a canvas width and height here of 500 by 500. And the center of our canvas, of course, is half of that. We'll skip over draw for a minute. We need to create our frame using our canvas width and height. We'll set our draw handler to draw, and then we'll start our frame. So in draw, all we're going to do is we're going to draw our image, because that's what we called it. We're going to use image center as the center of the first image for starters, as we show here, and the image size of course is 174 by 94. We're going to display it in the center of our canvas, and we're going to display it at original size. So we'll just run that, and there we have the first image in the center of the canvas. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to loop through the images. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a timer for that, and we need to start the timer. Up here we'll keep track of our image number that we're currently on. We'll start it off at 0, and here we have our timer calling a function called timer handler, so we'll put that in. And all this timer handler is going to do right now is change the global image number. We're just going to add 1 to it, and then we're going to mod it by 4 if we get to the end of the 4 images we have, and start back at the start. Okay, up here in the draw handler, what we're going to do is we're going to change our image center, because that's our source, to specify a new source image in our tiled image. So what we're going to do there is the Y part is going to stay the same, so we'll just take image center 1, but the X is going to change. So we'll do image center 0 plus the image number times the image size, because as shown in the slides, each time we move to a different image in that tiled image, we have to add the size, the X size, which is the 174. So the first time through it would be 0 times 174, so it'll just be the center. The second time it'll be plus 174. The third time it'll be 2 times 174, just as we saw in the slide. So down here, we need to change this to our new variable IMCenter. We'll run that, and every 2 seconds we show the next picture, and once it gets to the end, we start off at the beginning again. Okay, so now let's change where it shows up on the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable called canvas location, which is going to just pick a random range within the width of the canvas and the height of the canvas to display it at. We'll have to make that be global here, and then up here we're just going to change it up here so that the original location is going to be the canvas center. We also have to go up to the top here and import random, and in the draw handler, instead of drawing at a canvas center, we will now draw it at whatever the current canvas location variable says. So let's run that. Oh, helps if I spell it right. There we go. Now we're displaying at random locations on the screen. And as you can tell on that last one, it got chopped off. So that's probably not a good thing to have. So let's modify it a little bit more so that we don't have images that are chopped off. Okay, we're just going to go back into our timer handler here and change this canvas location. And now what we're going to do, instead of just doing a random range between the width and the height, is we're going to divide the image size by 2 to get half the image, because when we're specifying the center of the image, half of it will be on one side and half will be on the other side. So we can get that close to the edge of the screen. So on the one side of the screen we'll use math.ceiling, so that if it's only part of a pixel or whatnot, it doesn't go 1 pixel off the side of the screen. And on the other side we can just use int because it chops off the decimal, because we need integers here. And on The other side, it's width minus that half of the size, and same thing for the height. And since we're using math here, we'll go back up to the top and import math as well. And we'll run that. Now you can see the images are still showing at different spots on the screen, but since we put in that little part, they won't show partially off the screen. They'll always be completely on the screen. So we've made modifications to which image we're going to get, as well as the location that we're showing it on the screen. The image size here will always stay the same because we're not changing which image we're using. We're still using the same tiled image. So let's make some changes to this image size so that we can display it on screen at different sizes. So back in the timer handler, we're going to add a couple lines. One's going to be a ratio, and as we can see here, the height is almost 200 and the canvas is about 500, so the maximum we can fit on the canvas would be about 2.5 times the original size of the image. So we're going to do 2.5 times it, but we also want some randomness to it, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a random number between 1 and 8 and divide it by 8, so that way we'll have somewhere between 1/8 and 8 times by 2.5, so the maximum we'll get is 1 times 2.5. And then we'll set a variable here called canvas image size to the X image size times the ratio and the Y image size times the ratio. We'll make that global. We'll make our initial value equal to the image size. And then inside the draw handler, we'll use whatever that image size happens to be at that point in time. So we'll run it again. And we can see now that the images are actually moving around and displaying at different sizes now. One thing you'll notice is when a big one comes up like this, it's off the screen again. It's not fully on the screen. So we need to fix that. And to fix that, I'm just going to change this canvas location again with a new one. And you'll notice the only thing I changed here is, instead of using the original image size, I reused the image size times the ratio in each part. So that it'll be basing the canvas location off the new size. Now I could have also just put in here canvas image size 0 and canvas image size 1 instead of multiplying by the ratio again, but I wanted to show it explicitly that this is what I'm doing. So let's run that. And we can still see that the images are moving around the screen. They're showing up at different sizes. And now that we're using its current image size, they will stay on the screen and be completely on the screen. So we've changed this variable, which tells it which image in the tiled image to display. We can't do anything with this one unless we use a different image. We change where it's displaying on the canvas, and we also changed what size it's displaying on the canvas. So that should give you a good idea of how to display tiled images on the canvas. And if we actually had more rows of images below those images, then you could do pretty much the same thing, only instead of changing the X location of the image on the tiled image, you'll be changing the Y location as well. Hopefully this has helped you with tiled images, and if you're interested in doing some animations while we're displaying those images, check out the next video.